Welcome aboard the Starship Dragon. I'm Commander Krim, and welcome to episode 2 of the KrimKast. Today, we're going to take a look at all of the games that I played this year in 2024, and I'm going to give them a kind of like my own version of the Krim Awards. I'm going to choose the best game in each different genre, and then I'm going to give my opinion on what I feel was the best game I played this year. So, the 2024 Krim Awards. Let's get started. And don't you roll your eyes at me, Josh. I see you over there. So right now, what I want to start with is I want to kind of like come up with some categories first. Obviously, I've got Game of the Year. I kind of keep this simple. We're going to go with kind of like very simple categories, but I still want to. I don't want to go anything too crazy. But like, we're thinking of things like if you all have suggestions, feel free to throw them out there. But I'm thinking like best shooter, which can combine first person, third person, any of the above. Best RPG, obviously. Best strategy, which can include tactical and real-time strategy, which I did a few of those this year. What else could we possibly... We could do like the... Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let me do this real fast. We get some music going in the background too, just so we don't have to... just that way it's not just my flapping gums. So enjoy some Final Fantasy music while we do this. Let's see. What else? Best nude game. Well, I don't have any... I can't do nude games on stream, so no, I can't do nude games. Josh, but thanks for contributing. You know, as you do me all the time with your eye rolls. Let's see. I guess we could do, like, worst game of the year, too. That's really a thing. Which, you know, Fortnite should always get, on the top of that list, but I don't play Fortnite anymore, so. Let's see. Shooter, RPG, strategy. I mean, there's 1,000 different genres of game, but. Let's just, hi, Kingdom. Happy, Merry Christmas to you. Hope you're doing well. So let's just, stick this up here. That's not where that's supposed to... That's not supposed to have popped up. That's a whoopsie. Alright. And let's take a look at the games for this year. We'll kind of... I'll just, like, put them... I guess I can put them in their categories as I see them. What I get for Christmas? Nothing. Other than you guys being here for the stream. And a shout out on my own stream. Thank you, Josh. So we got Tiberian Sun. The Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun. Definitely a very good strategy game. I played that in January. Tiberian Sun, Firestorm. Okay. CD Heroes, we're not going to bother putting that up there because I've revisited that game very often. Alright, we got... Command & Conquer. This is Red Alert 2. 2 and whatever the expansion was to that. Best RPG Kingdom Hearts 2. Did I play Kingdom Hearts 2 this year? I don't think I played Cage 2 this year. Star Wars: The Old Republic we're also not going to put up there because I revisit that game very often. 40K Space Hulk Deathwing. I think I need to give that one another try, but I don't think it deserves to be put on worst game of the year. Certainly not put under the best shooter of the year. I think I need to give it another try, but it's not. I wasn't really thrilled with that. So Yuri's Revenge. Okay. All right. Let's see. Mega Man. Okay. Oh God. I got a best platformer on here because I did do platformers this year. Mega Man 1 was brutal. Now, Legend of Dragoon was not this year. Legend of Dragoon was not this year, Josh. Legend of Dragoon was, I think, might have been 2023. Command & Conquer 3, Tiberium Wars, definitely. Tiberium Wars / Kane's Wrath. Definitely a very good strategy game. Old Republic, Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts. I read your comic, Kingdom. Tiberium Wars, Kane's Wrath, City Heroes again. We're gonna. Alright, Command & Conquer Red Alert 3. Red Alert 3 was okay, but I don't think it's better than Red Alert 2. I don't think it deserves to be put on the best strategy games. I mean, these three are all very good in their own right, but I don't think I enjoyed Red Alert 3 as much as I did any of these three, so I don't think I even want to put it in the best strategy category. Alright, so that's January. Let's take a look at February 2024. Red Alert 3, Star Wars, Wolfenstein: The New Order. Okay, that is a good one. That definitely goes under best shooter. Wolfenstein: The New Order. It was really good. That was really good. I don't need to say that. Okay, New Order. DBZ Budokai 3. So we need a best fighter category. Dragon Ball Z. DBZ Budokai 3 was very, very good. I mean, I enjoyed it way back in the day when I first played it. And it was definitely good when I revisited it again. It was fun. I think probably Budokai 3 is probably one of my favorite fighting games of all time. I mean, granted, my knowledge and experience of fighting games is very limited, so it's a very small sample size. But, yeah. Old Republic. Dirge of Cerberus. You know, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It isn't as bad as I remember. Dirge of Cerberus was actually kind of fun. It still was extremely, how do you want to say, lackluster in story. And, you know, very, what's the word I'm looking for here? It was very overacted, I guess, overly dramatic. But I actually kind of like Dirge of Cerberus. Is it the best Final Fantasy game of all time? Absolutely not. Is it the best shooter game of all time? Absolutely not. But I think it definitely doesn't deserve the hate that it gets. And I think part of the reason why it got so much hate was because it was the first Final Fantasy game that was not really an RPG. First Final Fantasy VII game that was not truly an RPG. Even Crisis Core, which came out beforehand, would be considered a better, would definitely be considered an RPG because it's still, you know, in that it uses RPG mechanics and stuff, even though it was more action-based. But Dirge of Cerberus was not an RPG by any stretch of the imagination, short of being able to level up. You still had it was very much like a Devil May Cry with a Final Fantasy VII skin on it. A Devil May Cry / Metal Gear Solid. With Vincent very much playing the role of Solid Snake. Metal Fatigue. I really wish I could have come back and played more of Metal Fatigue. I honestly did like Metal Fatigue, but it actually was kind of difficult. I really wanted to enjoy Metal Fatigue. I really did. But I'm debating putting it under the worst game of the year. I didn't hate it. Usually if I hate a game or started to hate it, that's where I feel it should go into worst game. I don't think I hated Metal Fatigue, but I certainly think it could have been better. Generals I never finished. That was just on me. I didn't dislike Generals. I just haven't gone back to finish it, so that's on me. So no, I'm not going to rank Generals because I just haven't gone back and finished it. Monster Hunter is a revisited game, same as for Old Republic. Final Fantasy VII Remake I'm not going to bother putting on the list because also it's a revisit, and I really don't want to put a revisit in the awards list because I have played it before on stream, so I don't think I want to put remake in on the list. Same for like OG7. I will be playing OG7 again many times on stream, and those are revisits, so I don't feel those should be put in the category. Today, no, not today, Josh. I already have plans to do Warcraft. We're going to do some, if y'all are interested in doing it, we're going to play some Jackbox games, and we're going to play some Warcraft 2. Remake. PSO, we're also going to revisit. And then Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Without a doubt, best RPG of the year. No questions, no doubts, none of the above. It's absolutely best RPG contender for sure, if not of the year. So let's go up to March, which I think is mostly Rebirth. Yakuza Like a Dragon. That was actually pretty fun too. So yeah, Yakuza was really good. Borderlands, not necessarily a revisit, but I don't think it deserves to be put on the list because screw it. It's a good shooter. I mean, shooter or RPG? It's kind of both. Maybe it's not kind of both. It is both. Even though kind of played it before, or I have played it before. Mega Man 2. Honestly, I enjoyed Mega Man 2 more than I did 1. So I'm going to put Mega Man 2 in the best platformer category. It was definitely better than Mega Man 1. Alright, moving on to April. Merry Christmas to you as well, Rohan. Hope you and the family or friends, whatever you're spending time with or Christmas this year is doing well. Sonic the Hedgehog, absolutely all 3 games best platformer, without a doubt. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3. Especially with the Knuckles add-on, the Knuckles edition. Very, very, very good. Absolutely great. Dissidia. Dissidia is a very good RPG. I need to go. I only did Duodecim, or I should say like the first part of Duodecim with just Lightning and Laguna and Tifa. But I need to go back and do like the base game, which includes like the rest of the Final Fantasy cast. Destiny, Returnal. Man, I wanted to like Returnal. I really, really did. I wanted to like Returnal, but God, the fact that whenever you die, you start completely over. I mean, you lose everything, all of your upgrades, all of your weapons. And then you got to like spend 20 minutes or so going through the levels again to try to get all your gear back and everything, or get some semblance of your gear back, just to go fight the boss again, and then die and have to start over. You know, I definitely prefer the Elden Ring / Dark Souls style, believe it or not, over that. Whereas if you die, yeah, you lose all of your experience that you've gained up to that point, but you start right back outside the boss's arena, and then you can go in and pick up your experience and then get back into the fight, even though the fight does start over. I prefer that, even though that's still a very challenging and difficult way to stifle your progress. It's definitely more acceptable to me than completely starting from scratch all over again. Absolutely disliked Returnal for that matter. I get that that's because it's its own style of game. It's a roguelike, and that's how roguelikes are supposed to be. But if that's how all roguelikes are, that was my first roguelike game I ever played, by the way. That's how all roguelikes are. No, not for me. Hello, Altora. Merry Yeetmas to you as well. Hope the rest of your stream went fantastically. It Takes Two. Oh my god. I don't know what category to put this in. I don't know what category to put that in. I guess for now, best co-op game. I don't know what else to put it under. It Takes Two is so fucking fun and hilarious. And Bimo and I need to go back and finish that. It is hilariously good. And we saw the Game Awards earlier this month, that the same people that made It Takes Two are coming out with another It Takes Two called Split Fiction, with the very similar type of mechanics. And Bino and I are like, we're playing that without a doubt. 100% we're playing that. Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. Yes, very good shooter. Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster. Absolutely great game. Got kind of difficult sometimes, but still really, really good. Quake 3 Arena, not bad. I mean, I enjoyed Quake 3 Arena. It was a little bit different because it wasn't a story-based first-person shooter like the other Quake games were. So, fun enough, but I don't think it deserves a Game of the Year or any kind of nomination for Best Category. On the other hand, right here, Quake 4. And believe it or not, even though I put it in the worst Game of the Year, I still want to go back and play it just so I can rag on it the whole way through, because, oh my god, what little I had played, oh boy, oh, that was sad. Borderlands 2, obviously, best shooter also, because extremely good. Borderlands 2, easily the best Borderlands in the franchise. Even with their DLC, especially with their DLC, it's the best of the series. Honestly, roguelikes are nice because while you have to start from fresh every run, you still usually get perma upgrades and unlocks, and the map is always random, but it can get so disheartening. Yeah, there were some things that you could get, that you could upgrade, or whatever, that were permanent buffs to the character, but you lost all your weapons. And as you, in Returnal, as you played the game and you used those weapons, you would actually level up those weapons and level up like your affinity with those weapons. So you would get, a little better stats and stuff as you're using that type of weapon. Well, when you die, all that affinity, all those weapons are gone. You literally start back with a pistol, and all the supposed levels, you don't really gain RPG type levels, but you get levels that kind of give you improvements in certain things. All that disappears. And it's disheartening is, I would say is putting it lightly. Disheartening is an understatement. And that's why granted, Returnal is the first roguelike I've played, so I would like to play others because I hear Hades is really good, but if it's that brutal, Again, it's not all. I mean, losing all that progress as far as weapons and all that stuff, that is certainly very disheartening, without a doubt. But what's also annoying is I have to, in Returnal, I have to travel all the way back to the boss site. You know, in Returnal, you start at the ship and you've got like 6 or 7 areas that you have to pass through, and then you get into the room where there's the boss and you fight the boss. Well, if you beat the boss in that room, then you have a new area unlocked. You can go explore those new 5 or 6 areas, and at the end of that one, there's another boss. Well, if you lose to that boss, you don't go back to the first. You don't go back to the first room of the second area. No. You go back to the very first room. So you have to travel through the entire first area and then the entire second area just to get back to the boss. That kind of backtracking, that kind of repetitiveness, while in Returnal is unique because all of the arenas, all of the zones leading up to the boss are randomly generated. So it's not like you can just crit path your way through, because the pathway will be different almost every time. But that, despite that, it's still a pain to have to go through all of basically like level 1 and then all of level 2 just to get back to the second boss. And I assume that it means it even goes further. I don't know how many more levels there were to that game, because Bimo and I stopped playing after I think the second boss. I assume there's like a 3rd or 4th level. So if you die on the 4th level, you have to go back through level 1, level 2, and level 3 just to get to the 4th boss? No, I don't have that kind of patience. I don't like the game that much. If I enjoyed the game's mechanics more, then maybe it wouldn't bother me that I had to start all over from each time I died. But I didn't enjoy them enough to where I wanted to deal with that every single time I croaked. And especially when you're fighting bosses in a game that is difficult as a Souls-like, a Soulsborne type. Those bosses you can't beat in one go. If your very first time fighting those types of bosses, you're not going to beat them. There is no way. It is nigh impossible to beat those types of bosses first try, because you don't know patterns, you don't know tells, you know, those kind of things. So having to go back every time to, and spend the time going back through all those areas, I dislike that because it throws off my rhythm. Like, okay, I'm fighting the boss. Okay, I lost the boss because I didn't follow steps A, B, and C because of his pattern. Okay, well, I just start back at the checkpoint right before the boss. I can step in. Everything's still fresh in my mind. I still remember the patterns. I still remember the tells. I can easily go back into the fight. When I have to start back at level 1 and go through 5, 10, 20 minutes of area again just to get back to the boss, what was fresh in my mind from all of his patterns, it's gone. And I got to try to relearn that again. It doesn't work for me. It just does not work for me. Games like Enter the Gungeon and Hades does a really good job of it, but it's also completely down to your preference. It sucks so much to lose a really nice build you've been working on. Absolutely, yeah. That's most roguelikes. Most games give you very different styles of playing based on the items you get in each level. I mean, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try other roguelikes. And I understand that that mechanic of losing all your shit and starting over is a common theme of roguelikes. I understand that. So if that's just how it works, that's how it works. And if I can get used to that and enjoy it and then deal with it as I go through the area, okay, fine. I'll be happy with that. I can deal with that. But if every roguelike frustrates me as much as Returnal did, that's probably going to be one genre I will not play. At least not solo. At least not solo. I mean, I was playing Returnal with Bimo, a co-op friend of mine. And yeah, even she was like, this is crazy. The punishment for death essentially is too much. It's too much. I'm okay with like I said before, Elden Ring, your punishment for dying is you lose all your experience, and while you can go get that experience back, if you die before you gather your experience, your runes, or what was it called? Yeah, it was called runes. If you die before you pick up your runes, those runes are completely gone. And so that's a more acceptable punishment for death than wiping the slate completely clean and starting from zero. That's also why I don't play games very often that have lives in it, like some platformers, like say Crash Bandicoot, for example. because if I get like halfway through a level or nearly complete a level, and then I die and lose all my lives, I would start back at the beginning of that level, and that's not something that A, I want to do, or B, want to subject you guys watching me to do, is to have to go through that whole have to travel in order to play the whole level again up to that checkpoint. That's not exciting to. I don't feel it's exciting to watch. I don't enjoy playing that style. So, if I can find some way to get around a life limit, then, I'm okay with playing hard platformers, like Crash Bandicoot or Sonic the Hedgehog. That's, that's a long-winded explanation, but that's kind of what I'm going for there. Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns. I actually did enjoy Lightning Returns. And again, it's kind of like Dirge of Cerberus. I feel like it's underrated. I feel like it's given too much hate. Although I can agree that Lightning Returns is the weakest of the 13 trilogy. Being able to essentially use like dress spheres to change your roles with lightning, and you can take advantage of the different abilities through, as you rotate through and stuff. It is unique, but I had more fun with 13 and 13-2. Even though I could only control one character, the changing of the roles and everything, the paradigm shifts and all that, were much more enjoyable in 13 and 13-2. So I don't think Lightning Returns deserves to be put on even a nomination for best RPG or anything like that. I didn't like it enough. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it enough. Or all the ways in the beginning can be so annoying, especially when it's not your idea of fun. Yeah. If you're the kind of person that enjoys the gameplay of, say, something like Returnal, where you have fun gathering that stuff and getting the experience again and getting the affinity points again, that's great. I'm sure Returnal is a wonderful game for you. But for me, not so much. I enjoyed the gameplay of Returnal. The gunplay was good. The shooting mechanics were good. Some of the different weapons and their special weapon abilities, like their secondary fires and stuff, super fun. But when I find a weapon I like, and then it's gone forever and there's no way for me to recover that specific weapon again, it's too much punishment to me. It's too much. Destiny 2, Lightning Returns. Okay, so we got all for April. Let's move on to May. Unreal 1. Probably going to be a surprise. You guys can't see it because of comment. Sorry. Sorry about that little detail. Probably going to be a surprise. But Unreal 1, it was fun for like the first, I'd say as much as 3/4 of the game. Probably 75% of the game, maybe even 80%, I had fun with. It was challenging. It was certainly old school as far as its style of play. It was the first game literally on the Unreal Engine, hence why it's called Unreal, right? But the game seemed like it was never going to freaking end. Holy crap, it just kept going. There was a pretty big enemy that we fought. It turns out he wasn't a boss because we fought him, multiple versions of him later throughout the game. But I felt like that large enemy should have been like a final boss. And then that was it. Because it felt like everything was sort of culminating up to that point. That was a climax point. And then we beat the boss and then yay, game over. That was not the case. We beat him and then the game kept going. And then kept going. And then you had those like dark ass, what was it? It was some kind of like church or temple or something. I don't remember what the name of it. But it was like super dark everywhere. I got lost like 500 times. And a place that I needed to go to, like, I had explored the entire place. And the one place I did not explore was hidden in darkness that I could not have seen. There was no way I could have seen it. It was like an elevator. There was like a big room. And there was an elevator to the left. But it was obscured by the darkness. There was no way I could have seen it. And that was where I needed to go to progress to get further along in the game. And that's just, it was just so aggravating. It was so annoying. It felt like Unreal never had an ending. It never ended. It just kept going. It just kept going. Okay, you did something really big. All right, cool. We destroyed like this part of the ship or something. All right, that's the end of the game, right? Nope, keep going. You gotta go through it. You have to escape now while it's dark. I have a hard enough time seeing this game because the game overall is dark, and then you take out the lights and make it practically pitch black. You realize it's a first-person shooter, meaning you have to have eyes to see it. First-person view. I need to be able to view the game. If it's black, I can't view the game. That got really annoying on me quick. So yeah, Unreal 1, not great. Not great. Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds. I'm kind of conflicted. It was okay. I didn't hate it, but it was okay. I didn't finish it either. I did not finish Galactic Battlegrounds. Galactic Battlegrounds is basically Age of Empires with the Star Wars mod on it. I mean, it was a standalone game, but it kind of looked like Age of Empires, but with the Star Wars mod on it. FPS with no lighting sounds like a horrible design choice. Really takes a shot in the dark to a new level. You're not kidding, Rohan. You are on the nose with that. You know, I mean, God, it just. It was just bad. It was bad. It was just bad. Bad. Now, granted, Unreal 1 was a product of its time. Like I said, Unreal 1 was the first game on the Unreal Engine for obvious reasons, and was like right up there with like Quake 1, Quake 2. Probably closer to Quake 1 than 2. So very old school style of first person shooter, right? So you just got to kind of take into account that it's a product of its time. I also had heard that Unreal 1 was more loved for its multiplayer modes than for the first-person campaign, the first-person story, or the story mode, the campaign mode, whatever, the single-player mode. And I can believe that. I can see that because the gunplay, I can see being very fun in a multiplayer perspective, less so in the single-player because of the really weird and annoying level design. Almost like 80-20 rule. I mean, sort of, yeah. I mean, the 80-20 rule really falls more into horror games. Like, 80% of the game is scary, the last 20 is more action. Whereas with Unreal, it was more like 80% fun and enjoyable, but then the last 20 was like, when does this game fucking end? Where is the congratulations you win screen? Where's the credit roll? You know, where is that shit? It needs to end. I'm done with this game. I am done playing. Please show me the credits. But yeah, I don't think I hated Galactic Battlegrounds, so it doesn't deserve Worst Game of the Year nomination, but I definitely don't think it belongs in Best RTS. Definitely not. Dragon Age Origins. It, however, does. Best RPG. Dragon Age Origins. Origins was very, very good, very, very fun. Granted, I had experience with even Minecraft has end credits. There you go. It's something like Minecraft has an end as a credit roll. Even though I had played Origins a long time ago, I still enjoyed it very much, especially playing as a rogue. Absolute blast. Absolute blast. It was great. Definitely a great RPG. Definitely an RPG series I would recommend to anybody who is a fan of RPGs. Unreal 2. Did I actually... I don't think I played the whole thing, did I? I don't think I played all of Unreal 2, because I went straight into Unreal Tournament. I know I didn't beat the game in 3 hours. There's no way. So, yeah. I'm gonna... Pretty sure I never finished Unreal 2, so I'm gonna put it in worst game of the year. I don't think I finished it. Now, on the other hand, Unreal Tournament was really fun. It was really fun. However, I'm going to not put it on the nomination list because there was something better. And that was 2004. Unreal Tournament 2004 was much superior. Much superior. So much more fun. Now, Unreal Tournament 1, that said, wasn't unfun. Wasn't not fun. But it just lacked something. It just lacked something, especially when you reach the final battle with, what was his name, Zen, I think? The robot guy kind of looked like he was wearing Master Chief's armor a little bit. The one-on-one with him was brutal. He was a very difficult final boss to fight. And that... To say I got frustrated with that would definitely be an understatement also. And that's mostly because his route took him through the best stuff. I mean, his invisibility, I think he would always pick up like double damage or whatever that was. He always seemed to know when the buffs would spawn, the power-ups would spawn, and he always was able to get them. And so I had to like sort of cheese fighting him in order to beat him. And I think what I had to do is I like picked up a weapon that kind of had like a knockback ability. I forget which weapon it was, but every time you shot the target, it kind of gave him a knockback. So if he tried to come at me, I'd like jump on the top of the ship, because we were on a ship in space. So gravity, when you're outside the ship, was low. So you kind of had like moon shoes, essentially. But every time he would like jump toward me, I would shoot him and make him like fall off the ship and die to a fall death. That was really the only way I could beat him. I couldn't beat him in a straight up shooting match because he always had invisibility and the best weapons and the easiest way to get him. Even if I tried taking the same route as he did, he would always have picked him up first. Almost always. The only way I was ever actually able to get those upgrades and those power-ups was if I had killed him, and while he was in the middle of respawning, get lucky that he didn't spawn next to them, and I was able to go down and grab him. He was a very, very, very difficult 1v1 boss for a game like Unreal Tournament. In 2004, he returned also very difficult, but not anywhere near as difficult as Unreal Tournament 1. In Unreal Tournament 2004, very, very good, very, very fun. Definitely deserving of Best Shooter nomination. Super, super fun. The guns were fun to play. Even the flechette gun, the flat gun, was real fun. And very satisfying too. You manage to get a kill on somebody when they're close up to you, and a single shot just jibs their body into millions of pieces. So fun. That was so satisfying. Unreal Tournament 3, I wanted to like it so much. I wanted to like it so much because it really felt like Gears of War with an Unreal skin on it, because the characters kind of looked like they came out of Gears of War. Some of the enemies kind of looked Gears of War-ish. They even had vehicles in it, which were really fun. But the AI, playing with AI against the AI in the single player campaign mode, extremely frustrating. You had to do pretty much everything. If it was a capture the flag map, you had to go capture the flag yourself. Your teammates were not going to do it. And even if they did try to go do it, they would get killed very easily. And then when I would go get the flag, would my teammates come help me and help me defend my way, and help me fight the way out of the base? No, it was just me versus like the 4 or 5 opponents. So I had to like work my way through 5 people and hope that I got away from them. The AI, the allied AI in that game made it even more difficult than it should have been. So, and also it's another game I didn't finish the campaign mode of Tournament 3. So, sadly, because I really, really wanted to like it. Duke Nukem 3D. Nobody would argue this point, I'm sure. It was the anniversary edition of Duke Nukem 3D. Very fun, very good. Without a doubt. I don't think anybody would question that Duke Nukem 3D was certainly one of the best first-person shooters and deserving of high praise. Moving on to July 2024. Dragon Ball FighterZ. Actually kinda liked it. I was absolute ass at it, but kinda like it. The stories were pretty fun too. I liked how in the like the first arc, the first campaign, you had a unique story to fighters, and I thought that was really good. The create was over a year ago, was it? Was it really? Was it 2003 that I played Dragon Quest VIII? Fighter's story was unique in the fact that you got a unique story. Pretty much every other Dragon Ball Z fighting game that you play, you're following the story of the show, of the actual television show. Usually a bridge down for, the game purposes. But like Budokai 3, Budokai Tenkaichi, even to an extent, Zetaverse is basically just following the story of the original television show. FighterZ was very, very different. It had its own story where it was sort of breaking the fourth wall, but also wasn't. You were like a soul that had been created in a lab, and your soul was able to take over the characters in Dragon Ball Z, and that was your reasoning for being able to switch characters in the middle of a fight. The tag system is you were technically jumping your soul, you as a soul was jumping from, say, Goku to Frieza, or Frieza to Vegeta, or to Majin Buu or whatever. And that was kind of a unique way to put that kind of story in the game and have it be, have the lore be part of or I should say like this, the mechanics of the game be part of the lore. That's really cool. That's really cool. First Descendant, we will be, believe it or not, we will be revisiting that at some point. I don't think I'm going to put it on the list because I will be revisiting it every now and then. I say I would enjoy it about as much as I did Destiny 2. Not quite as much, because Destiny 2 will always be forever in my heart because I played that game since the Destiny 1 beta. And even I played all the way through its 10 years, and I still revisit it every now and then off stream. And while I feel it's kind of not really as good as it has been over the past 10 years, it's kind of feels like it's reaching the end of its lifespan. I still think I like Destiny 2 more than First Descendant, but I do enjoy First Descendant by quite a lot. Quite a lot. Dragon Ball FighterZ. We're not going to put Dragon Ball Kakarot up there because I want to go back and revisit it. When I first played DBZ Kakarot, I thought it was going to be a fighting game. I didn't know that it was essentially an RPG. So I wasn't prepared for that genre of game when I started playing this. So when I go back and revisit it, I'll be more, in the mood for an RPG. I thought it was supposed to be like a DBZ Budokai 3 kind of fighting game. I didn't realize that it was actually like a full-on RPG with with a bit of fighting mechanics in it. Final Fantasy VII. I need to revisit this this challenge run because I didn't do this. I didn't go very far in that. But I do want to play Final Fantasy VII again with more challenges. Live Off the Land was a unique one that I would like to go back and do. Silent Service 2, I don't know that I want to put it on here. Not that I didn't dislike. I super enjoyed it. I don't know that I mean, I guess I could put a best sim category. But that's also a little bit of nostalgia speaking, because Silent Service 2 was incredibly good to me back as a kid. And even though it suffers horribly from being a DOS game, I still enjoyed it. But next month I can finally play 7 Rebirth. Also, hi, Merry Christmas to you as well, Mikey. I hope you tell me all about it, because it was insanely good. Insanely good. I didn't do everything in that game. I didn't 100% it. I didn't do all the side quests. I did a lot, but I didn't do everything. And it took me 111 hours to play that game. 111 hours for like the main story and like probably 80%, maybe 70% of the side content. So the questions, yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely, you should. As somebody who's enjoyed Original 7, and you just have to. You just really should. You saw my tier list from the Final Fantasy games. Rebirth was on the top. It is absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Black Mesa, basically the Half-Life 1 remaster. Definitely deserves Best Shooter nomination. I can see why Half-Life is so beloved by the community, by its own community. The game was great. I can see how the engine itself got like modded. I guess there's so many mods, including like a standalone game called Gary's Mod. So good, so very, very good. Black Mesa was great. It's like the multiverse. I don't know what version of Sephiroth is the real one. Like, I don't know, bro. The cloud with the black materia at the end. It's a multiple. I think they want to say it's like multiple timelines. I guess multiverse wouldn't be a bad way to look at it either. But here's the thing I want to talk about regarding Rebirth. Is they've left a very, very wide door open for the return of Aerith. And here's what I'm talking about. Can't hear me? Oh, ads. Okay. I don't know. I guess I can wait till Mikey gets back. His ad shouldn't be long. I'll try to rise. Front Mission First. Front Mission First is a very good strategy game. So we're going to put that under... Yeah, Front Mission First Remake. This game I enjoyed so much that I couldn't wait to play it again. After I had done, like, ended the stream ended an episode, I couldn't wait for the next day so I could play it again. I had that much fun with it. It was really, really fun. Referring to Rebirth real quick, go back to that for a second. I feel that they have left the door open for Aerith's return to the party in Part 3. Now, Aerith dies, obviously. Sephiroth gives her the whole kebab treatment, and she is dead. But there is a version of her alive and unkebabbed in another universe. Here's what I think. In some way, they're going to be able to travel or do something to get Aerith, the living Aerith, out of her universe and into, I guess you could say, our universe, the main Prime universe that we see in Rebirth. And that will do two things. One, that will maintain the continuity of the timeline, that Aerith has to die. It is crucial that Aerith dies because her soul roaming the life stream is what is used to assist Holy in stopping Meteor at the end of OG7. You know, her dying is a necessity. However, it also satisfies the fan base that wants Aerith to remain alive. It does both of those, because Aerith will still be dead, and her will still be roaming the life stream, and Aerith will be in the party, and all of her special skills and abilities and everything that she had in Rebirth, ramped up for Part 3, will be available and playable in Part 3. That's my guess. Somehow or another, they are going to pull Aerith from the alternate timeline, and she's going to be a party member just like before, and be involved in the story just like before. Cloud is going to be suffering from a multitude of issues by that point, because he's already dealing with, you know, his multiple personality, not really multiple personality disorder, but multiple personalities in his head regarding his identity with himself and Zack, obviously. His mind being screwed up by Jenova/Sephiroth's influence, and then now Aerith's ghost, if you will, going with him wherever he goes, as well as a living Aerith being in the party with him. It's going to really screw with his head. It's really going to screw with his head. And then there's the whole thing about that tear in the sky that Cloud can see that nobody else can. Somehow Cloud is seeing both worlds. His perspective, while he's physically in the normal world, he is also able to see and communicate with Aerith in the alternate timeline. So there's something going on there. I feel that Aerith will return in Part 3 in some way. And I don't mean just as a imagining, not even like a cameo like they do with Zack in Rebirth. I feel she's going to be a party member. I also kind of feel Zack is going to be a party member as well. Somehow. Zack is going to be, if he's not going to be a party member with the main party, he's going to have like parts of the game where you spend a lot of time playing as him in the like his own path. Like it's not like a Rebirth where you occasionally played as Zack and you just kind of explored whatever story he was going through. No, he's actually going to be at least like a solo party member that's going to be doing his own thing, possibly even involving Genesis. Maybe Genesis will come back, because Genesis is essentially Zack's Sephiroth, whereas Sephiroth is to Cloud as Genesis is to Zack. So I feel like somehow Genesis is going to come back. Probably going to possibly deal with Vice, because we've already seen Deep Ground. So Zack is going to be dealing with Deep Ground possibly, and at least Genesis, if not Deep Ground. But Zack is going to be dealing with Genesis, and we're going to see a whole thing with that, and then we're going to see, then we're going to have Cloud and the regular story and all that going there. Have they now truly confirmed Jenova is an extraterrestrial? They haven't like expressly said it. They haven't like straight up said Jenova is an alien. Jenova is from they haven't really said like those words specifically. They've said like she's come from the stars. They've said like she's otherworldly. but they haven't expressly like said alien or extraterrestrial. I think they still consider her a like some kind of the only thing I can really describe it as, I think they're supposed to, I think they still see Jenova as some sort of virus, even though it's like a large creature. It's more of like a virus than it is an alien, as far as like how they've described. I mean, we as the player know that it is, because the meteor that crashed 2,000 years ago was Jenova. It was an alien creature, but I don't feel that the people in the Final Fantasy VII world see her as that. They don't understand that. Yeah, there's a lot of questions with the remake and rebirth. There's a lot of things that, and I don't dislike it. A lot of people are actually hating on it because of, I think most people wanted just like a 2020, 2024 version of 1997's Final Fantasy VII. And because they didn't get that, they hate it. Well, what you're going to get is a remake. You're going to get expansions on the story. You're going to get additional details that they probably didn't have time or didn't come up with in the original version. So yeah, there's a lot of questions there. But I feel like a lot of those questions are going to make a whole lot of sense in Part 3. So many things that you're like, why would they choose to go this way? Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Those are going to be answered in Part 3 in some way. They'd have to be. Okay, come back to this. So we did front mission. Definitely deserves to be on the list for best strategy game. So that was July, right? August 2024. Mech Warrior 4. Mech Warrior 4 is a very, very good shooter. Back in the day and even today, I feel. Mercenaries / Black Knight, or actually Mech Warrior 4 Vengeance / Black Knight / Mercenaries. They were all expansions. Yeah. Mercenaries, Silent Depth 2. I really like it. It's still in early. It's still in early access, but they did update it not that long ago, and the changes they made are good. I do like them. It still has a long way to go, though. It still has a long way to go with that game. I look forward to playing it though when it fully releases. The Skywalker Saga. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. I didn't explore it as much as I probably could have because there was a lot of like side stuff in it. Merry Christmas, Jody. Good to see you. Welcome in. Hope your Christmas is going well. It was. It was really my first, like, full foray into a Lego game of this style. I only played, like, another Lego Star Wars game, like, once a long time ago and did very little of it. The thing about this is they really make it very open world-ish and give you, like, a lot of side quests and exploration and things you could go do. And I didn't take advantage of any of that. I pretty much just stuck to the main story, and that's all I did for the playthrough. And it wasn't bad. I didn't dislike it, but I don't really think I'm up for playing other Lego games. It just, like, it didn't really hit me as great. I see the appeal, but just not quite for me, I don't think. Silent Hunter 3, which I want to play Silent Hunter 4 again, so we're going to skip out on that one. Oh boy, GoldenEye 007. Not gonna lie, while it did have its difficult moments, I can definitely see why it's a really, really enjoyed shooter. Their games are all the same. Yeah. I mean, they take the original universes of what they're from and then just turn them all into Legos. I mean, the story was the story of the entire Skywalker saga in all 9 movies were very much spot on. They add a few little things here and there for humor's sake because it's supposed to be for kids in a Lego game. So, it was, for what it was supposed to be, it was enjoyable. And while I'm not against playing kiddie games, it didn't really do much for me. Really didn't do much for me. Yeah, GoldenEye 007 from the 90s, that's right. Nope, it's the original. The original on the N64. I played it on the N64. I played it on the Switch through the N64 emulator, but it was that. And it was really, really good. Really, really enjoyable. Did have its challenging moments. It was really good. On the other end of that, Perfect Dark. I liked probably half of it. But some of the levels got annoying. This is what I call the Krim Awards 2024. It's what I feel is the best of different categories, and then and also worst of the categories, or worst games, and then I'm gonna choose my best game of the year. These are all the games that I streamed this year. Perfect Dark was like a futuristic version of GoldenEye, but at a certain point, some of the map design got really annoying because I couldn't, what looked like the obvious choice was not the correct one. And the obscurity that was supposed to be the correct course of action was too obscure. For example, it was actually I think it was the final level. We had to go and fight the last, alien monster thing. The last Scourge, or what it was called. I don't remember the name of the enemies. There was a part where you had to go from the normal landscape, and then you had to break down a wall to get inside the actual temple itself. There was a wall that was supposedly cracked that you had to use a bomb on, blow up the wall, and then you could get into the inside of the temple. Well, when I was traveling through the game, traveling through that level, and I got to a point where there was this giant crack in the wall, and it looked like the temple type architecture was on the other side of that hole. Okay, this is where I need to put my explosive to destroy this wall. Place explosive, blow it up, nothing happened. Okay, now I'm not putting it in the right spot. Let me try it again. Put it up there, explode, nothing happened. Mission failed because you ran out of bombs. Is this game glitched? I went back, did it again. Set bomb, explode. Nothing happened. Mission failed, ran out of bombs. Had to look up a walkthrough. And the objective the place I was supposed to blow up the wall was obscure. There was no crack. There was no alternate texture. There was nothing that indicated that wall was the one I needed to destroy. Granted, you had to use the game's mechanics. That was on me. I won't take blame for that one. I had to turn on the infrared goggles or whatever it was to see that there were cracks in the wall that I was supposed to use to destroy that. But when you have, if that's where you needed that to be, why, like 5 feet away, was there a crack in a wall that looked like it could have been blown up by the explosives? Why was that there? That's extremely misguided. And the final boss fight was confusing as hell. It was you couldn't figure it. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I finally did it and beat it, but it was ridiculous. It was. I feel like it was overly complicated when it didn't need to be. I did not play Elden Ring this year. No, I didn't play Elden Ring this year. I will eventually sack up and go back and play Elden Ring and freaking finish it, because I feel like I can. It's going to take me a while, but I feel like I actually can finish Elden Ring. I feel like it's doable. I've seen the gameplay here and there after the point that I'm at right now, and I feel like I could do it. It just requires me to sack up and grow a pair of nuts and actually do it, you know? So as far as Perfect Dark goes, I'm reluctant to put it under worst game of the year, because I honestly don't think it was that bad. I did enjoy a good portion of it, but man, at certain points did it really piss me off. At certain points it really pissed me off. So it gets like a thumbs down, but it's not the most hated. It's not the worst games of the year. Now, Spooktober 2024 was unique. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Disappointing, for sure. Definitely disappointing. At first, it was very Alien Isolation-like. You had to explore a place and be quiet when there were enemies around, or hide if an enemy did spot you, and so forth. The game's mechanics were wonky in the fact that sometimes one of the security bots would spot you, and someone like Chica would like just teleport to where you are. At a certain point in the game, the whole stealthiness of it was kind of like, I don't need to be so sneaky and stealthy. I think like probably after I got past the hallways where all the endoskeletons were, where you're being chased by the endos that would stop moving if you looked at them. After that point, while you still needed to be somewhat stealthy, I pretty much ran through everything. Like I just held shift and bolted everywhere. So there wasn't like a whole lot of like times that I really needed to stealth my way through everything. A lot of it was just get to point A to point B without getting seen, and you could just kind of run that way. So, and the fact the environments just weren't that really scary. You were in this very brightly lit, very pretty, large pizzeria. The only really scary locale was when you went under the pizzeria, when you had to do the Chica boss battle, if you will. And then sort of scary was the Roxy boss fight after you blind her, and you got to like work your way around like the fires and stuff, and not get caught by her, to trick her into breaking down walls so you could get through and move on. The Chica fight was a little more scary because Chica made weird noises when she spotted you, and that kind of was a little unnerving. But Roxy was just more... Really, Roxy, I kind of felt bad for her. I felt bad that Roxy was, trying her best to find me even though she was blind. And all it took was one very little sound. I mean, jumping out of a hiding container, Roxy spotted you right away. And she was like super quick, so, that wasn't really scary, but that got frustrating really quick. I don't think it's a very good horror game. I really, really don't. Now, I didn't play Ruin. I didn't play the Ruin DLC, which I do have. so we might do that at some point. But as far as base game Security Breach, it's mediocre. I wouldn't say it's the worst game because I didn't hate it, but it could have been far better than it was, especially for a game series that is notorious for being rather unsettling at the very least in the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Final Fantasy 15, I never went back and defeated Omega, so I did that here, but that's not going to be put on the list. Now, on the polar opposite of Five Nights at Freddy's is easily, and I would count it as an RPG, one of the best RPGs ever. Parasite Eve. Absolutely. This is another game that when I finished a stream, I couldn't wait to get back in and play it again. I had so much fun with Parasite Eve. It was such a unique battle system. And the fact that you were one character and you just had a gun, which had all these, you had some unique abilities, and the guns you could modify and make use of, and it was so very well done. The story was really good too. The final boss was actually kind of unnerving, believe it or not. It's good, Jody. It's really good, and Parasite Eve is definitely worth a playthrough. It is PlayStation 1, so you'd have to struggle to probably find it, but it is super good. Very, very good. It's essentially what Square Enix's version, or well, Squaresoft at the time, Square's version of Resident Evil, but even better, I feel. Square's attempt to essentially clone Resident Evil, that's what this game is. But it's really, really good, and a little more RPG-ish than Resident Evil is. But all the battles were really, really fun, and the final bosses definitely got some unnervingness to it. Look at the PS4 today? Nice. Alright, next was Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. It was okay. I didn't really find it to be that scary. The characters were not really that intriguing. The twist at the end was certainly unexpected, but not like something I jumped for joy over. So I think Little Hope would have been better if I had somebody to play it with, because the Dark Pictures Anthology is known for co-op mode. So like while you're exploring one part of the story with one character, your co-op partner is exploring a different area of the same locale. So, it's kind of unique in that aspect, but it wasn't great. Well, I've always got a PS5, so I'm taking their old shit. Nice. Now, on the opposite of Parasite Eve 1 is the shit that is Parasite Eve 2. It's almost like whoever developed Parasite Eve 2 looked at Parasite Eve 1 and went, that's all really, really good. Let's do none of that for the second game.
The war between the East and the West.
Like literally.
There was more violence.
Like literally. Everything that was good about Parasite Eve 1, they took away in Parasite Eve 2. The locales were boring as hell. The combat sucked. The enemies sucked. They took Eve's character and they just kind of made her bland. There really was no like villain per se throughout the game. The final boss fight was at best infuriating. The combat system was infuriating. The other characters that you encountered, which there were very few of them, were kind of just there to push the story along, and they took away the unique way they had, the unique way you traversed the world. In Parasite Eve 1, Granted, it was still kind of Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VIII-ish, with one large, like, JPEG background, and you moved around that background. Of course, you had, like, obstacles that you couldn't walk through. But the camera still kind of like, if you, the map was big enough that the camera followed Eve wherever she went, and while the locales would change as far as where the camera would sit, like sometimes you'd be like a top-down perspective where you're going this way, and then you would pass through this door, and the camera would be like a sideways perspective because you're walking on a balcony going this way, right? You know, that was all unique to Parasite Eve 1. In Parasite Eve 2, everything was a still image, and the camera did not move until you left the screen, and the camera switched to this perspective, which is another view of the same area. Or then over here. It was way more like Resident Evil, the early Resident Evil games, Parasite Eve 2. And it wasn't in a good way. Because it was very frustrating. There were a number of times when I was shooting an enemy that was off screen, and the only reason I knew first of all, the reason I knew an enemy was there was because it went into the encounter mode. But I couldn't see the enemy. I just had to rely on the fact that Eve auto-aimed and hope that I was hitting it. And so some enemies that would like charge at you, like those mule dog things, you couldn't see them charging at you if they charged at you from off screen. All you had was like Eve on the screen, and suddenly here comes the monster ball. You had no time to react to it or dodge it. And that was extremely aggravating. There were so many times I took so much damage because the enemy was attacking me and I had no idea. And there were so many times when they would stun lock you. The enemies would like hit you like multiple times, and Eve has to keep going, because she has to go through the entire animation, and I could not move, and it was so annoying. And it was bad. It was extremely, extremely bad. I was thoroughly disappointed by how bad Parasite Eve 2 was, especially compared to Parasite Eve 1. I mean, on its own merits, Parasite Eve 2 sucked. On its own merits. Even if I didn't play Parasite Eve 1, if I had played Parasite Eve 2 first, I still would probably feel mostly the same way. Because on its own merits, Parasite Eve 2 is a badly designed game. But especially compared to Parasite Eve 1, holy crap, did they fuck it up. They took a good game and made it worse. By mountains. I would highly recommend to anybody to play Parasite Eve 1. I would recommend against playing Parasite Eve 2, unless you like having a red mark on your head from bashing your head on the table. Because it got very frustrating. Again, especially the final boss fight, who had some wide-ass AoE attack, one-hit attack power that you could do nothing to defend against. And again, it was an arena where the camera had to change angles. So while you're running one direction, and you leave the edge of the screen and proceed to the next screen, the camera shifts. Does the character automatically turn and start running the direction that you're pointing at? Nope. It keeps running the direction that you were already running when you changed cameras. So if you were trying to run away from that large cone attack and the screen changed, you were running into a wall, so you couldn't get away from the blast. It was awful. It was terrible. There was probably some of the cutscenes. If I were to say one good thing about Parasite Eve 2, is some of the cutscenes, the FMV cutscenes, were pretty cool. Outside of that, the entire game was ass. And it was something that I kind of, believe it or not, I kind of expected or worried about, I should say. I was concerned about it. I had said before I even started playing Parasite Eve 2, is Square is known for one particular thing when it comes to their sequels. You're either going to have an extremely awesome, mind-blowing good time with the sequel of a game, or it's going to be absolute dog shit trash. There's not really a whole lot in between. It's usually super, super good or super, super bad. Good examples: Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, incredibly good. Kingdom Hearts 2, incredibly good. Or you're going to have shitty sequels. Chain of Memories, Parasite Eve 2. There's not really a whole lot of times that I know Square games to have sequels that are like, oh, this isn't bad. It's not as good as the first one, but it's not bad. It's usually, oh, this is awesome, or what the fuck is this shit? Dino Crisis. Honestly, it's not actually that bad. Dino Crisis, honestly, is my first... Dino Crisis was my first Resident Evil game, if you want to think about it. My first Resident Evil game in the traditional, I should say traditional, classic Resident Evil style of tank controls and such. Because I never played Resident Evil 1, 2, or 3, the OG versions. I've only played 7, 8, and the 1, 2, and 3 remakes. So, I never really experienced the OG versions of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Dino Crisis is probably as close as I'm going to get, and it wasn't that terrible. The movement was a little wonky, mostly just because it was the tank controls, and I'm not really good with tank controls. The fact that it's dinosaurs instead of like zombies or something was pretty cool. A little disappointed in how the story unfolds as far as why the dinosaurs were there, but I can get over that, I suppose. But I think it was pretty good. It was worth a playthrough for sure. Absolutely. I don't know where to rank. I don't know what category to put this. I guess you can put it in its own category, best horror game. I guess it deserves to be put a nomination for something. Because like I said, I don't think it was that bad. I actually kind of enjoyed it. Resident Evil 2. I mean, I certainly say I enjoyed my second playthrough of Resident Evil 2 better than I did my first one. I played Resident Evil 2 for the first time back in, I want to say 2021 maybe. And my playthrough again, where I played as Leon and I did Claire. I did Leon A and Claire B. I enjoyed it much more. I really, really did. I'm not really sure why I hated it in comparison, or I enjoyed it more than my first playthrough, which I really didn't care for. I don't know what changed, but I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2. I think it deserves to be on this list. Star Wars Empire at War, I thought was a really good strategy game. I really did. I was actually surprised I enjoyed it as much as I did. Empire at War. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did, because I wasn't really familiar with that style of RTS. Usually RTS games that I'm comfortable with are base building RTSs along the lines of StarCraft, Warcraft, Command & Conquer. Empire at War, yeah, you sort of had bases, but they weren't on the maps where you were doing the battles. Your bases were kind of like on the planets. You build your units there, you take your units, and then you go to an opposing world, and then you land on the planet. That's where you do all your fighting. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it as much, but I actually really did. I think that was definitely a good play. I really enjoyed that. November 2024. Empire at War. Supreme Commander. Liked it. Very good strategy game. Definitely deserves it. 3 different stories. All with relatively the same ending. Or not relatively the same ending, but like all the same like final objective, which was the Black Sun. Mostly unique units. I mean, for the most part, all 3 armies had the same types of had the same types of units. Like there really wasn't like anything really special as far as like the main rank and file units. Now they had their special, like their experimental units were all very unique. But for the most part, tanks were tanks, gunships were gunships, transports were transports, and so forth between all three of them. They just had a different look to them, maybe fired a different weapon, but they all were pretty much the exact same thing. But they were still unique enough that they felt like they were three completely separate races, and I thought that was really good. So yeah, Supreme Commander 1, definitely a very good game. I would like to eventually play the Forges Alliance expansion, so that's for future consideration. Star Trek Bridge Commander. Honestly, I really did enjoy Star Trek Bridge Commander. I think it does deserve at least a nomination for Best Sim. But it had its problems. A lot of times the game would crash, and not all of it was really the game's fault. I was using a mod called the Remastered mod that obviously made it look better, added more ships to it, changed some of the ships that were actually in the game. Like there were a couple of ships that were originally like, I think, just an ambassador class, and one of them got changed to an intrepid class, one got changed to a saber class, and things of that sort. The ships that weren't like natively in the game, they changed some of them to be a different class of ship. And that kind of gave the game a more unique look to it, which I enjoyed. But the game suffered a lot from crashes very often. But not all of that was the mod either. I remember playing this game a long time ago, and I remember having issues with it then too. So it wasn't a perfectly built game to start with. And also the engine of the game is very limited. Once you start getting, no matter how powerful your computer is, once you start getting like more than 20 ships on screen, all of them firing at the same time, the game really comes to a halt. It really struggles trying to process all of the weapon blasts, all the calculations it's got to do for the damage numbers and all that. The game really suffers when you have a high number of ships on screen in battle. So it's kind of sad about that. I feel like Bridge Commander needs a true like official remake, remaster with updated engine capabilities, because this game is very well mod supported, and it needs a modernized upgrade so you could put 40, 50, 60 ships on screen in a massive space battle, which every Star Wars fan would, or Star Trek fan would love to see, or Star Wars fan, because there are some Star Wars ships in this mod. A huge number of ships in a space battle, and it run like 60 FPS smooth the entire time. That would be really awesome. I don't think it'll ever happen because this game's too old, and while it's mod supported, I don't think anybody the original development team cares about the engine. But you know, I can hope. Dragon Age Awakening, it's kind of falls into the same thing with Dragon Age Origins, so same thing there. Dragon Age 2, I actually enjoyed this far more than I thought I would. Playing as a mage in Dragon Age 2 was super fun. And compared to Dragon Age 1's story, it's not as good, I will admit, but I had such a blast playing as a mage in Dragon Age 2. It was so fun just blowing shit up with all the different magic that I had. Also helped that I had pretty much a full party of mages. I took myself, Anders, and Meryl, which were 3 mages, into battle, and it was like, okay, here comes an enemy, dead. Here comes a group of enemies, dead. It was just super fun. Warcraft 1 Remastered. Boy. I don't think I want to put this in a best strategy category. I liked Warcraft 1, don't get me wrong. I liked it. But fuck me if it wasn't brutal. Warcraft 1 was rough. Warcraft 2, I am doing better at, but the expansion part of it, the Beyond the Dark Portal stuff, it's getting pretty rough. That was December I just looked at. That was November I just looked at. All right, and now we're to December. Half-Life 2, loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think Half-Life 2 and Half-Life 2 Episode 2 were the best part. Half-Life 2 Episode 1 left me felt it was lacking. It wasn't quite as good. But Half-Life 2 Vanilla and especially Episode 2 were chef's kiss. So good. So fun. Absolute blast. Absolute blast with Half-Life 2. And that brings us to Warcraft 2, which I'm still playing, so I'm not going to bother ranking it. So let's take a look at what we've got. Actually, you know what? I think I forgot to do one thing. I forgot to look at the last week of 2023. 2023 live streams. Yeah, December. Because I don't take into account the last week of December for the same year. So the last week of 2024 will go toward 2025's awards list, because I still have a week to go of the month, and I might play something I like there. So here's what we'll do. Where is everything after 12, 25, 23? So Command & Conquer Red Alert 1. Yep. Actually, thinking back on it for a second here, Red Alert 1, I actually kind of... I don't want to put it in the best strategy category. I don't hate it, but I don't think it was as good as it could have been. Primarily because Red Alert 1 is really not a whole lot different from Command & Conquer 1, Tiberian Dawn. Many of the units in Red Alert 1 were pretty much copy and paste right out of Tiberian Dawn. I mean, the tanks, several units were exactly the same assets from Red Alert, from Tiberian Dawn. So that kind of loses a lot of points with me. Then I did, Crisis Core Reunion. Okay. Then Tiberian Sun, which we already put on this list. Yeah, okay. So there we go. All right. So the Krim Awards for 2024, starting with the bottom. Worst Game of the Year. It's a toss-up between Parasite Eve 2, Quake 4, and Unreal Gold. Now, like I said when I put this one on here, Quake 4 looks awful. I haven't played a lot of it, but it looks terrible. And I want to put it... I want to play it again because I want to be able to rag on it and play it all the way through to completion, just because I'm a kind of completionist that way. So with that said, I don't think Quake 4 deserves Worst Game of the Year. Unreal Gold is really pushing it. Really pushing it. But Parasite Eve 2... yeah, I gotta give it to Parasite Eve 2. Worst Game of the Year was easily Parasite Eve 2. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't... I hated this game more than any of these others. Even Unreal Gold. Because pretty much from the beginning of Parasite Eve 2, I disliked it. I at least liked Unreal Gold for a while. Parasite Eve 2 was bad from the start. Best horror game, Dino Crisis or Resident Evil 2 Remake. I mean, kind of two different categories here, sort of. But while there's only 2 entries here. I think I enjoyed Resident Evil 2 Remake more than I did Dino Crisis, so let's do that. Best co-op, that's not fair. It's only 1 entry, so it wins by default. I liked Budokai 3 more than I did DBZ Fighters. Best platformer? Sonic 3. Sonic 3, the version of Sonic 3 I played was Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I did Sonic 2 Knuckles as well, but Sonic 3 was Sonic 3 and Knuckles, so I played Sonic 3 and I played Sonic and Knuckles all in one long campaign, so you did everything in both games. So I feel there was a lot more content to it, and it was the most fun, because you had the most, like, things in it that were not in the previous ones. So it's Sonic 3 for me. Best strategy game: Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun and Firestorm, Red Alert 2 Yuri's Revenge, CNC 3 Tiberium Wars Kane's Wrath, Front Mission First, Empire at War, and Supreme Commander. For best strategy, it's a toss-up between... Oh, man, it's actually a toss-up between all 3 of these. All 3 of these I feel are better than all 3 of these. Front Mission First was really good, though. Tiberium Wars was really, really good. God, this is really tough. Oops. By a narrow margin, I'm gonna have to give it to Tiberium Wars. It's like if I were to put like a point system on this would get like 5 points. This would get like 4.9, 4.8, or something like that. It's just barely. I feel Tiberium Wars is just barely better than the other 2. That's a really tough sell. That's a really tough for me to take. Best RPG. I'm sorry, I can't. I have to give it to Rebirth. Rebirth was just too good. Now, there was some close ones. Parasite Eve 1, super, super good. DA2, super, super good. But it does not do Rebirth for me. I'm sorry, it does not do Rebirth. Best shooter. There is a lot of them up here. Half-Life 2. Half-Life 2. Specifically Episode 2. I feel... I mean... New Order was super, super good. Dark Forces Remastered was actually pretty fun for a Doom quality, Doom 1 quality Star Wars shooter, which is pretty much what it was. It was like Doom with a Star Wars skin. Really, really good for that. Unreal Tournament 2004, obviously really good. Half-Life 1, GoldenEye. But you know, Half-Life 2, it did it for me. Best Sim. We're going to give that to Silent Service 2. Again, sort of nostalgia bias there, but... And then Game of the Year. Oh, man. I want to give it to another one. But I can't. Rebirth absolutely is game of the year for me. I was like, it feels like an obvious choice, so I'm trying to think of, okay, if I don't choose Rebirth, what else can I pick that I like just as much? And I just can't do it. I just can't do it. It's Rebirth. It's Rebirth for me. It is too good. It was just too good. So, worst game of the year is Parasite Eve 2. Best horror game is Resident Evil 2 Remake. Best co-op. Best fighter is DBZ Budokai 3. Best platformer was Sonic 3. Best strategy game was CNC 3 Tiberium Wars. Best RPG was 7 Rebirth. Best shooter was Half-Life 2. Best sim was Silent Service 2. And game of the year for the Krim Awards of 2024 is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That took me 2 hours to do. So there it is. There's KrimKast Episode 2, the Krim Awards 2024. Winner, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I can't switch it because of the thing, but you see it up there. So, yeah, there we go. There it is. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Don't worry, if you're watching live on Twitch, don't worry, we're not ending the stream here. I'm just ending this YouTube video. But if you're watching on YouTube, if you enjoyed this content, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also check out the KrimKast playlist. It's the list I'm using to make my own podcast series of things where I just felt like talking. Excuse me. And so, yeah, if you'd like to catch us live, we're live on Twitch at twitch.tv/CommanderKrim. If you'd like to see this video over on the YouTube, youtube.com/@CommanderKrim. As always, special appreciation goes out to the men and women of the United States military, both at home and overseas, both police officers and firefighters across the country. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. You're all true heroes. I'll see you all on the next one. Until then, have a good night, everybody. Bye.